Those changes are about physicality within the midfield and size for Kev Lambert coming in, and some rotation up front to keep this team healthy, who has definitely battled the injury bug. Rhode Island and Conno Smith, the idea that they weren't going to rotate, all of a sudden a couple of players have come into the mix we didn't necessarily expect. Karifa Yao onto the back line. I see this as a 3. Reason being the success in previous games against Louisville City and the personnel specifically. Nodarse, Grant Stoneman. This allows Aldair Sanchez, who's been very good for them to start the year on the left flank, to get high. Amos Shapiro-Thompson, Joey Brito to invert. They need to overload in the midfield to prohibit Lou City in their overall build. Cannot let them transition. More looks for Dikwa up high.
And there is Albert Dikwa, 20 goals, led the league MVP in 2023 in Pittsburgh. Ray Serrano leading the Louisville City attack to this stage. A side that has Philip Goodrum up front yet again, and Cameron Lancaster back in town. Take a look at tonight's referee, Elton Garcia. And this should be a fun one. Louisville City felt like they got bullied by Rhode Island. Their words, not mine. In both their home matches, they have rebinded the net. That's why I always keep a zip tie handy. Here we go. Louisville City taking on Rhode Island FC. It is an Eastern Conference semifinal rematch. A clash of the top team in the East, Louisville City, reigning Players' Shield winner. Goodrum. That's out from Yao. Corner. The USL on ESPN2 gives us a Western Conference match. Lexington and last season's championship winner Colorado Springs Switchbacks. Friday, June 20th, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN2. Both those teams could use a win. Corner for Louisville City. Skims through to the other side. Here's Perez. Jostling by Yao, service again. Hammers in! Aiden McFadden! And Louisville City runs in front of Rhode Island.
Certainly something that has surrounded this team this year has been recycled set pieces. Rhode Island do a good job of winning the initial one. They don't clear the lines, don't do a good job of getting pressure out there quick enough. And then great job by Perez to keep Shapiro-Thompson to play in that kind of hybrid 10. They was floating up high next to Joey Brito.
Oh, routing the goalkeeper. Brito, tight angle, put in by Adams. Out of absolutely nothing. Joe Brito explodes.
Said boy, my son. I've taken him to a match. We've only really ever been able to sit for about 5 seconds. Got to see all the behind-the-scenes stuff, and everybody was super kind to involve in production.
Yeah, Goodrum. Philip Goodrum put a man on skates, but could not escape Jackson Lee on the other end.
Actually sitting down was 2019. Goodrum nearly makes him sit down there. Real hope gun recovery, just dealing with the pace. You know, talking to Danny Cruz about the change in identity, you know, he also talked about the idea of midfield-wise, schematically, how it's changed. I reference how aggressive that back line is. Well, as they come up and push, that allows your dueling eights to then go. We see the 10s just in front. Perez and Serrano interchange more than we've ever. The identity that was a very back to front, spread wide, go with pace, now all of a sudden has a graceful elegance that allows a lot more movement. In turn, responsibility that follows.
try and continue a flurry of punches that concluded the first half. Rhode Island 1, Louisville 1, on to the second half tonight. Louisville attacking right to left in the purple. Here's Serrano. Slips it ahead. Perez, top the 6. High to Evan Davila. He was the lone substitute in the first half due to an injury sustained by Kev Lambert. They announced this venue in September of 2017, broke ground in June of 2018, laid the grass in 2019, opened the doors in July of 2020. Home to the NWSL's Racing Louisville as well. And then the new Centerville Bank Stadium. You and I get the chance to go there July 19th. El Clamico.
I was just going to say, I'm still waiting on the full scouting report of what our itinerary looks like for meals. Expect that on my desk Monday morning.
Perez continues. Perez driving. Met by Lee. Serrano came for it. Back to Goodrum. Goodrum finagles, back heels. Serrano spins off Shapiro Thompson. Crossing for Davila. Rito outwitted by Goodrum. Tap back to Tosh. You and I'll have that for CBS July 19th, Hartford and Rhode Island. Gorgeous venue that they've put together there. Perez pushing at Serrano, aiming for Goodrum off of Karifa Yao, corner.
Good start for the home squad, and if I'm wearing a Lou City jersey right now, find Adrian Perez. He's feeling it. He closed out the first half quite nicely, and his footwork, something that is never going to be questioned. Well done on the right flank.
Here's Taylor Davila, still only 24 years old, career highs across the board last season. Rhode Island heads home on Saturday, North Carolina, Sacramento. Then Jägermeister Cup against Portland Hearts of Pine. Should have a little bit of juice. Maine versus Rhode Island. Beautiful venue that Brett Johnson, the Ipswich owner, and the Rhode Island chairman helped create in Pawtucket. That's a stumble back into the field of play here, and maybe a little bit more for Dequa. The yellow shown to Taylor Davila. I think that's Sean Tosh who got the yellow card. Floated forward, Yao knocks it back across. Header's right at Loss. That is the Darcy pinging a header right at Loss.
He got away with one here, though. Hands were all over Aiden McFadden. Referee let him play on, and Holstad involved in the 2v1. Credit to Darcy on the timing, though. They are very good, have been since day one of 2024, about winning those second balls sprayed back across on set pieces. Watch the way that Rhode Island's building, Mike. Understanding that defensively, the way that they're set up just a tiny bit deeper. What they're doing is they're squeezing, when they build three, they're squeezing tighter, and they're allowing the wingbacks to sit a little bit deeper. It's forcing players like Perez and Serrano. They're having to go out and chase. That opens up more space on the inside. They're then allowed to play forward a little bit more fluidly. That's a different change than what we saw in the first half, where they were trying to get Aldair Sanchez and Arce much higher up. The question is now, if you're Louisville, do you respond by coming up and being more aggressive on the width, the wingbacks, or do you sit back a little bit deeper and chase the game?
It's forked up for Dia. Third substitution window, but the first was made as a concussion sub, so that doesn't count. It means they get the 6th sub and the 4th window, but Rhode Island does as well. So for Louisville, long story short, 1 window, 2 subs remaining. For Rhode Island, 4 subs remaining, 3 windows. Jansen Wilson in off the bench. Stoneman circles back, comes over to Holstead. Harrell leads the charge for Rhode Island. Harrell bouncing, loss, shorthanded. Tosh passing the 20,000 minute mark. Started this attack, ball through now. Serrano! Ray Serrano again! His team leading 6th of the year! 2-1 Louisville City.
Well, certainly the back line has had its pocket picked a few too many times for the liking of Danny Cruz. That aggression is what gets this going. The inversion of the dueling tens. The substitute in Jansen Wilson. Great job on the undercut. Notice how the substitute, Mabika, for the Washington native.
And Danny Cruz was an assistant to John Hackworth. And you and I spoke with John going into 2019 after they won the title. You had players getting into their early mid-30s, right? Guys who've been here forever. Paolo Del Piccolo, Luke Spencer. You've got Niall McCabe, who's still with the team, who's reaching that point now. How do you balance leadership, the culture that you've set, the level of success that you've had? You want to run it back with recognizing that soccer waits for nobody. As Manny Perez watches this ricochet out. So when you begin the generational shift, go ask Costa Rica how that's worked out. Go ask the U.S. national team how that's worked out. It's easier said than done, and Danny Cruz has done it about as well as you could ask. Well, they did last year after a 5th place finish in 23 with those growing pains, was set a club record with 76 points and 86 goals, with a plus 43 goal difference. Louisville looking for insurance. Chip to the top. Jansen Wilson! Well, here comes the fun part. Rhode Island is pushing their chips in. Noah Fuson, 19 goal contributions a season ago, along with Maxi Rodriguez, who had an identical haul in Detroit. Brito and Dikwa take leave. 2 subs remaining, 2 windows. And before the goals begin again, we can remind you, you can watch the USL Championship in Spanish on TUDN. It's the nation's leading Spanish language sports network. Serrano, the go-ahead goal tonight. Into a little pocket, give off, Taylor Davila. Tried to slalom through, Serrano pirouettes away, the clearance out to halfway. The championship and League One are on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches, expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golazo Network and ESPN+. Go to USLChampionship.com or USLLeague1.com for the complete USL TV listings. And congratulations to our friends at the USL Super League. Get there in a moment. McFadden, jump step. Davila chips wide. Perez angling back in. That'll be a goal kick. The semifinals in the first edition of the USL Super League played over the weekend. Carolina Sent, who won the league in the regular year, ousted by Fort Lauderdale. And Tampa Bay, a 2-1 win over third place Dallas Trinity. So Tampa Bay is going to be hosting the first ever USL Super League final. Wish all the best to our friends. Louisville hosting Birmingham, going to North Carolina at Loudoun. Then they'll go to Colorado Springs on the 4th of July in the Players' Shield versus reigning champion matchup that everyone's had circled. That's a yellow, that's a red.
Mistake down in the corner, the pull from behind. This one just unnecessary. You know, understand that full contact doesn't even have to occur.
Maybe the players spoke about revenge. That wasn't the message, but it is achieved. Louisville City finally vanquished Rhode Island.